Hello and welcome. My name is Ben and I'm an associate with Helen Sanderson Associates. I hope wherever you are you're having a great Wednesday and that the weather is nicer than it is currently in the northeast of England, which is where I am. You would never notice the start of summer. It's pretty cold and pretty wet. Welcome to this webinar where I'm going to be introducing Planning Live. During the webinar I'll be introducing the Planning Live process, providing some examples of a Planning Live workshop I was involved in recently, and how Planning Live can help people to develop really personalised support plans. The webinar will last about 25 minutes. If you do have any questions during the webinar, please type your questions in the box at the right hand side of the screen and I'll attempt to answer them at the end. The webinar will be recorded and posted to the HSA YouTube channel. I will also provide my contact details at the end of the webinar in case anyone has any questions after the webinar is finished. Please do get in touch. As I mentioned, I'm going to be using some photos and examples from a recent Planning Live workshop that took place in Stockton-on-Tees, where we were working with 9 people who have respiratory conditions. I hope this will give you an idea of how Planning Live could potentially work for you and for the people you work with. So what is Planning Live? Planning Live is a workshop that can be used to help anyone who has an indicative allocation or budget to develop a personalised support plan about the things that are important in their life and to help them figure out the support they need. No matter how big or small your budget, no matter what your age or condition, Planning Live can provide a great way to gather person-centred information about what really matters to the person and about what really good support looks like. It is a process that can help people to think about their life and plan with those people who are closest to them. Planning Live enables the people who know the person best and those involved in their care to come together as a team around the person to support them to think about their life and develop their support plan. The people involved could include family members or friends, professionals such as a teacher or a social worker. It could include paid support staff or an advocate maybe. It is important that the people who know the person best and those who can provide rich information are included in the Planning Live process. For Planning Live workshops to be most effective, they would usually take place with between 4 to 10 people with their teams of support around them. Numbers will very much depend on the needs of the people taking part and the space you have available and the time you have to complete the sessions. And all of this needs to be thought through when designing a workshop to ensure that Planning Live can really work effectively for all those involved. Usually 2 days are required for a Planning Live workshop, and this enables those taking part to think and plan and have the time and space needed to be creative. Planning Live really does lend itself to promoting creativity and provides an environment for people to think about what is positive and possible, which can result in some great outcomes for those involved. Planning Live workshops are structured in a way so that everyone is introduced to the process together and feel part of a wider group. It also provides space for each person to think and plan with the people in their team away from the wider group. And the opportunity to come back together to support each other and share learning and ideas. Depending on the space you have available and how many people and how people feel, this may be within the same room, or people may wish to move into separate rooms to do that individual planning away from the wider group and then come back together to again to share ideas and to support each other. When we were working in Stockton, people chose to stay in the same room but move into areas where they could develop their own plans, but they could ask for support from others if needed. And this worked really well as everyone involved knew each other and it provided for a really friendly and supportive atmosphere. This slide shows the graphic we use during Planning Live. The graphic provides a great way for people to see their plan develop as more person-centered information is gathered and we move towards developing outcomes for people in their support plan. Planning Live uses the principles of person-centered thinking to capture rich information about what really matters to the person and how best to support them. This approach to planning can have a really positive impact on people's lives. Just the process of thinking in depth about your life and the changes you want to make can make a huge difference. One of the people we were working with in Stockton said that it was the first time that they had been able to talk about their life in such depth, and it meant so much to them that people really wanted to listen and learn about their life. Planning Live can work for anyone who is developing a plan about the things they want to achieve in their life and thinking about the support they need to achieve their goals. The process fits with best practice criteria for developing a support plan and helps identify how an indicative budget can be used. This could be a child or young person who has an indicative budget attached to an education, health and care plan. It could be someone who is developing a care and support plan to use their social care personal budget, or someone who is planning to use an indicative allocation for a personal health budget. Planning Live also works really well for people who share support or people who may live together in supported accommodation. It's a great way to work out how best to use an allocated budget and make sure it works for individuals. So it's really important that people know what their indicative budget is before they start to develop their plan. Planning Live starts with an understanding of what funds are available to the person and what resources, so that any planning can take this into account. The first stage of Planning Live is focused on finding out what is important, what really matters to the person. This could be important people, it could be places that are important to the person, possessions, hobbies or interests, anything that makes life worth living. This information should drive any plan, and it is important to keep checking this information to ensure that plans are focused on what is important to the person, not just what is important for them. For some of the people we work with in Stockton, spending time with others and having company was really important, maintaining their health and planning for the future too. There were some keen gardeners in the group to whom it was incredibly important to have a garden that was fit for the Queen. This is vital information to capture at the start of the Planning Live process. It enables us to make sure the plan grows from rich information about what really matters in the person's life and what makes them tick. Some of you may be familiar with Think Cards, but for those of you who aren't, Think Cards can be a great way to help develop person-centered conversations about what is important in a person's life. If anybody is interested to know more about Think Cards, there is information on the HSA website or at thinkcards.co.uk. A really fantastic tool for helping develop person-centered conversation. Planning Live is a process that supports people to develop plans that take a holistic view of their life. Plans shouldn't only feature paid support and options. If we're to help people develop really sustainable, bespoke plans, we need to understand what resources and assets people have available to them. This includes more than financial resource. It includes the skills and talents the person has, the things they're able to do, as well as the people they know and the support provided by family and friends. If someone can sing or bake cakes, if someone can drive a car or play the piano, these are all resources that the person has available to them and should be taken into account when developing any personalised support plan. So at this stage of Planning Live, this is where we record that information. For example, I love gardening, but I have an awful lot to learn. My mum, on the other hand, is an excellent and experienced gardener. I often ask if she will come over and help me to distinguish a weed from a flower. I don't pay her to do this, as she wants to help, and we enjoy spending time together working in the garden and then having a cuppa and a chat. Planning Live makes sure that the natural resources available to the person feature in any plan alongside any funded resource that the person may require. And getting this balance right will really help to ensure that plans are more sustainable and less likely to be dictated by services and funds available. Using person-centered thinking tools such as a community map or a relationship circle can identify who's involved in the person's life and who they want to include in the Planning Live process. A relationship circle identifies those people who are closest to the person, such as family and friends, but also people who are paid to support, to offer support, and any other people who the person may want to include as part of their team to help develop their plan. A community map can help us understand where the person spends their time during the week. It can help the person to think about where there are opportunities to strengthen relationships or to build new ones. It can also help identify if the person is spending their time doing the things that are really important to them. When we worked with people in Stockton, it was clear that many people spent time at health appointments during the week, and they did not have enough opportunities to build relationships and socialise, which was so important to people. This helped us to think about how plans could tackle this during the Planning Live sessions and developing actions that would really move people towards the outcomes that they wanted. At this stage of Planning Live, we find out about what best support looks like for the person. What do people need to know and do to support the person well? It's really important to capture detail here. So, for example, one of the people we work with carried a list of their medication in their handbag. The list detailed not only their medication, but details about their condition and what people should do in an emergency. It was really important for the person that this information was kept up to date, as it made them feel more confident being out and about and knowing that the list was with them. The list was placed in a particular place in their bag, so it was really easy to get to when needed. So this was vital information for us to record in the person's plan as part of the Planning Live sessions. Important information to capture includes how the person communicates and how they make decisions. Communication chart or decision-making profile can help to capture really important information about how to make sure the person remains at the centre of the process. Checking how people like to receive information is also really important. This may be in a written form or verbally, using pictures or symbols or whatever works best for the person. So in Stockton we worked with a lady who used hearing aids, and she needed to be sat close to the person speaking to be able to hear what they were saying, and making sure that we checked back with her during the sessions in case she needed any information repeating. So understanding what aspirations people have is really essential at the start of any planning to ensure that the plan moves in the right direction. Asking if I could, I would is a useful way to help people think about what they want their life to be like in the future. Again, this is essential information to help to make sure that the plan is going in the right direction. One of the people we work with in Stockton aspired to be able to swim so that they could swim in the pool when their daughter got married in Greece. Someone else wanted to be able to walk to the local shop without becoming breathless. Sometimes small changes can make a massive difference and change people's lives. So we need to take these things into account and really focus on what people's aspirations are. Thinking about what is working and not working is a really important part of the Planning Live process. It helps people to understand what the person may want to keep or maintain in their life and the things that need to change or stop. It can help people be clear about the direction of travel for the plan, and it helps to identify the areas of the person's life that should be addressed when developing outcomes. Once the person has identified how they want their life to be and what is working and not working, it's important to be specific about what needs to change. This information will support the development of outcomes that clearly identify how the person's life will be different if outcomes are achieved. Information here should address the things that aren't working in the person's life or identify what needs to happen to maintain or increase time doing the things that are working for the person. So, outcomes. Once there is a really good understanding of what is really important to the person and the resources they have available to them, the aspirations the person has and what they want to change or achieve in the future, the team around have the information needed to have a well-informed conversation about the outcomes the person wants to achieve, and then how they will use any indicative allocation to work towards those outcomes. This conversation takes place on day 2 of Planning Live, the Planning Live workshop, and is informed by the rich person-centered information that's been gathered throughout day one. A great way to test that an outcome reflects the information gathered on day one is to ask, does the outcome come from the person's perspective? Does it address something that is not working? Does it keep something that is working and move the person closer to their aspirations? It was inspiring to hear some of the ideas and outcomes being developed in Stockton. One lady planning to volunteer at a local park to share her knowledge and experience with others. Someone else getting back on their exercise bike for the first time in years to increase their fitness, and someone else looking to join a local church to increase their social network. As well as individual outcomes, the group were really able to think about how they could pool budgets to potentially save a local social group that was a really important social hub for them. And thinking about maybe hiring transport as a group to get out and about, something again that was really important to the people involved. A really fantastic tool for helping people to develop outcomes that will make a difference in their life is the Perfect Week tool. It helps people to think about what would be present in their perfect week, and what people would see, the places they would spend their time, and the activities that they would take part in. This tool really helped people when we worked with them in Stockton to think about the difference between their current reality and where they would like their life to be if they achieve their outcomes. It's a fantastic tool that we use during the Planning Live workshop that really works well for people. The last stage of Planning Live, the Planning Live session, is to set really clear, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and timed actions that will ensure the person's plan moves forward in the right direction. This may include identifying where the plan needs to go to authorise any funding and who is responsible for this. It could also include actions about people who need to go away and gather more information about a particular subject, or to find out information that will help the person to work towards a particular outcome. So we need to be really clear when setting actions about who is going to do what and timescales attached to that. We also need to set a review for when the plan will be reviewed to make sure that we address what's working and what's not working about the plan, and to address whether outcomes have been met or not. It was a pleasure to be involved in the Planning Live workshop in Stockton, and you'll see here that people developed some really comprehensive information that was then able to be transferred into support plans, and identified some really good outcomes for people to work towards. And the next slide, I'd just like to show you a short video clip which gives you a sense of the workshop that took place in Stockton, and hopefully give you some ideas about how Planning Live might work for you and the people you work with. So I hope that clip gave you a good idea of how the Planning Live workshop really worked for that particular group of people, and some ideas about some of the things that we've been talking about through this session. So what are the benefits of Planning Live? The benefits include the fact that Planning Live brings the people who are most important to the person together around the person to really help them think about their life and plan. It gives some dedicated time for that group of people to really support the person and to think about developing a really good support plan. Planning Live provides a really supportive environment where people with similar needs can come together to think about developing individual support plans, but also rely on others for support and for ideas. So it's a really creative environment where people can support each other, thinking about ideas and thinking about being creative to develop really good plans. It helps develop plans that really use rich person-centered information and outcomes that can really make a difference to people's lives. So the fact that you've got that dedicated time over 2 to 3 days can really help people think carefully about what is going to make a difference in their life and who are the people that they need to support them to do that. So I really hope that webinar has given you some really useful information about Planning Live, a good introduction and thinking about how it could work for you and possibly for the people you work with. I don't have any questions on the screen at the moment, so please do, if you have any questions, once you've seen the webinar, once you've seen the recording of the webinar, please do get in touch. My contact details are on the screen now, so either through Facebook or Twitter. Please let me know if you have any questions. And thank you very much for listening.